Good afternoon, Rebels. Welcome to the first episode of Studio G for spring 2020. News that is made for the Rebel in you. I'm Dominic Schotzen.
And I'm Brianna Faverger. Today we have an update on the coronavirus as well as a touching story about a nonprofit working to save cats and dogs from being put down. Studio G starts right now. Our first story today is a report on the coronavirus and the impact it is having in our area and abroad. Ramon Elizondo Corona has a story.
SARS-CoV-2 is now the new name for the disease COVID-19, better known as coronavirus, that have killed more than 2,400 people and infected over 80,000 humans in 32 countries, including 36 confirmed cases in the United States, of which 14 of them were passengers aboard the Diamond Princess cruise ship in Yokohama, Japan. This one representing the largest cluster of coronavirus outside mainland China. According to the Washington Post, the new coronavirus originated in bats that are sold and eaten in China, and this is how the disease spread into humans. The Southern Nevada Health District medical investigator Dr. Crusher explained how humans can transmit the virus to one another.
This is a virus that's most likely spread through the respiratory route. So, someone, much like the cold or the flu, if someone gets infected, coughs or sneezes, and you breathe in those small droplets, that's probably the main way that people get infected.
In a CDC audio conference, Nancy Messonnier, medical doctor at National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases, believe other possible risks.
Some spread may happen by touching contaminated surfaces and then touching the eyes, nose, and mouth. But remember, we believe that this virus does not last long on surfaces.
The World Health Organization declared a global emergency and recommended this.
These include covering your mouth and nose when coughing or sneezing with a medical mask, tissue, or flexed elbow, avoiding close contact with those who are unwell, the appropriate use of masks and personal protective equipment, especially in a healthcare setting, washing hands regularly with soap and water.
The Southern Nevada Health District recommends to all Nevadans not to panic about the coronavirus, but to stay alert. Reporting for Unit B Studio G, Ramon Elizondo.
Although there is no known cure for the virus at this time, the CDC recommends staying home if you are sick, avoiding contact with people who are sick, and simply washing your hands to avoid the spread of the disease.
The Smith Center has released its schedule for the 2020-2021 Broadway Las Vegas series, and there's a little something for everyone coming. The season starts with My Fair Lady in July, the story of a young flower seller being transformed into a proper lady, followed by the return of Hamilton in September, which blends hip-hop, jazz, and a founding father to create a revolutionary attraction. Shows to follow include the Tony Award-winning Ain't Too Proud, The Cher Show, Disney's Frozen, and more. The Broadway Las Vegas series is presented by Southern Nevada Toyota Dealers. For ticket information, visit www.thesmithcenter.com/Broadway or call 702-749-2847.
Every action's an act of creation. I'm laughing in the face of casualties and sorrow. For the first time I'm thinking past tomorrow. And I am not going away. Please don't leave me, don't you go. Ain't right up. I got you, babe.
This isn't me, guys.
Just read it.
There is a nonprofit right here in Las Vegas that is saving cats and dogs from overcrowding. Our reporter Ethan Stott has the scoop.
The Hartzler Village is a non-profit organization that was founded in Las Vegas. It is located on Rainbow Boulevard between Charleston and Oakey. It was started to help keep dogs and cats from losing their lives in overcrowded shelters. Their adoption centers and foster homes provide a safe place for pets to heal while awaiting their new home.
Right now we've saved almost about 3,000 animals, and so our overall goal is to help animals in the kill shelters and take them off that transfer list and find them great homes. But beyond that, we are so much more. We help out with the outreach community, helping out people who can't feed their animals, and then just helping people who already have animals and teaching them about them and doing all these great things. So
Its sister building, Oldies But Goodies, located a few doors down, operates similarly, but houses older cats and dogs. Both of these organizations are solely supported by the community, and without its support, it could not do what it does. Atalia, one of the senior volunteers, has been donating her weekends for about 4 years and has loved it.
I've been a volunteer here at Hartzler Village for about almost 4 years now. I started out in this very cat room where I adopted my first cat, and I started volunteering here just to help out with the animals, and now I am somebody who helps with the other like introducing new volunteers and helping out with customers and all that. So it's been a very, very fun time at Hartzler Village. We are a very caring community, and I just really can't say how much I love the amount of people that I've met in my experience here.
There are many things you can do to help out. You can shop, donate goods, adopt, or volunteer your time. Any proceeds the village makes goes directly back to help the animals. Reporting for Studio G, I'm Ethan Stutt.
That was so heartwarming. Thank you, Hearts Live, for all that you are doing in our community.
Fresh off the Nevada caucuses and with Democratic hopeful Bernie Sanders taking a commanding lead in the Democratic race, we have brought two activists to discuss the merits of the presumptive presidential candidates for the 2020 election. Joe Thomas is a Democrat and member of Rebels for Bernie. Remington Longley is a Republican and member of Turning Point USA. Remington's views do not represent Turning Point USA. So guys, how are we feeling about Sanders' win in Nevada on Saturday, and how he came up with about a 46% majority lead in this race? I'll start with Joe first. Moving forward, where do you think this puts him in the race and moving into the 2020 election?
I think it shouldn't really be a surprise that he really did dominate here. However, I don't think the numbers were exactly what we were all expecting, because it is definitely a higher percentage than you can see even the previous polls. No one thought he would be up over 40%. And it's clear that there's this momentum that's gaining for Sanders. And with Iowa and New Hampshire, states that are more often have a lower plurality of minorities and that minority vote, he still did amazing there. But with something like Nevada, where it has a lot of Latinos, it has a lot of black voters, a giant mix and diversity of voters, and he just ends up crushing it. I think that it's something to look forward to as the next states come on, states like California, states like New York, where this really might set the precedent for all of the states coming up. And I think it's a fantastic sign that it really shows us what Bernie has behind him, and that's just an army of Americans just ready to vote for him in the polls.
Remington, how do you feel about this Sanders win, and how does it look moving forward with Donald Trump, the incumbent, President Donald Trump, the incumbent, looking like he'll be facing Bernie Sanders in the upcoming election?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, obviously I'm pretty alarmed as a Republican. I'm not excited about the Democratic Party slowly and surely drifting away to socialism. I would say that a lot of Democrats are not particularly excited about Bernie Sanders either. I mean, obviously he had a very great showing in Nevada, but obviously in Iowa and New Hampshire, more of the Democratic base to me just seems like they want moderates. The issue is there's a lot of people in that moderate lane. So you have Klobuchar, you have Bloomberg, you have Biden, you have Elizabeth Warren now trying to drift more moderate. She reversed her position on super PACs, which I'm sure you're ecstatic about. I think that Bernie has, his views represent a minority within the Democratic Party in terms of how far left he's willing to go. But the issue is that the moderate vote is very split. I think that I'm curious to see how that vote holds up as people start dropping out. I'm curious to see where those votes go. But no, obviously I'm not enthusiastic about a Bernie Sanders victory here in Nevada. I think that's way too far to the left for most Americans. I think that canceling private health insurance and instituting Medicare for all, we don't even know how much that's going to cost. People are obviously very concerned with healthcare this time around. But I'm curious to see the way it goes. I think time will tell.
Okay. I'm going to stick with you, Remington. What do you think the country needs to be doing moving forward to improve, and what can we improve on? And what do you think the policies that the incumbent should be focusing on moving into the 2020 election?
Well, I think that, already we're improving at a really great rate. We've seen the Dow Jones has hit 25,000 throughout this administration. We have record lows in unemployment. We have record low Black unemployment, record low Hispanic unemployment. Where the economy is off the charts. The so-called experts said that we weren't going to grow at nearly the rate that we're growing at now, and we've shattered all of those records. I think that the tax cuts have helped. It certainly helped small business owners like my father get ahead in the market. We've been able to hire more people and create new jobs. I would say not so much a continuation of the status quo, but a real emphasis on pro-business policies and also making sure that people can have quality, affordable health care. Moving forward, I think those are the issues we need to tackle.
Okay. And Joe, what do you think are the most important things that needs to be addressed for this country to improve, and what do you believe Bernie should be focusing on for the 2020 election campaign?
I think all of Bernie's campaign right now has been focusing entirely on making sure the citizens are doing well, because it's come to the point where I think it's undisputable that America has the best economy right now. However, a good economy is not reflective of a citizen's well-being or well-being of life, meaning that we have a lot of people, we have unemployment being very low, but people are not making enough wages to afford healthcare. They're not making enough wages to send their children to college. And there's a lot of stressors going on the current incomes of many families, because let's say a car accident could immediately take you out. And if that were to be the case, you don't really have a safety net. And it's seeming to be more and more apparent that Americans are tired of being in this constant state of living paycheck to paycheck, making sure that their families can be fed, making sure that if any of their children were to fall ill, or if any of the main people that were working to gain that income were to fall ill, it's basically like already declaring bankruptcy. We don't see the situation in many other developed countries. It's clearly a unique situation to America. And I think that's why this election is so driven on policy more than statues of symbols or anyone else, really, because, again, Americans are tired of something, and they want something that needs to change. And I think Sanders is doing a great job in moving forward on that push.
So following up with that, how do you feel about the current state of our administration as it stands?
I hold a lot of opinions about this administration, and I do not believe that they are holding what is best for Americans' interests. I believe they help only a small collect form of American citizens, whereas there's a large plurality of Americans who don't feel welcome in this country. Immigrants, for example, I am an immigrant from this country. I moved here when I was 4, and my mother was actually brought here to Las Vegas working as an ICU nurse in Valley Hospital. She got green cards for all of us. And I think one big issue is that, legal or undocumented, all immigrants in this country feel to a certain degree unwelcome, because I just got naturalized recently, and the fee for naturalization just went up to $1,000. And we see a lot of rhetoric screaming, oh, if you want to be in this country, you should come here legally. Well, the general atmosphere is that it doesn't even feel welcoming to legal immigrants. And there's this disparity between who these people actually are versus the status of who they are, meaning that there's a lot of animosity against immigrants, and I feel like this administration has done nothing to address that. If anything, perpetuate that even more. I see this administration deluding a lot of people into believing that the American dream is still living, and the American dream is still something they can fight for, when in reality, it's clearly rigged from the start, and you were not supposed to succeed from the beginning. And I think that's the reason why Sanders did so well in Nevada, because people are finally waking up to seeing that the system is rigged. And again, the reason why I support him is because we all realize that it does not have to be that way.
And would you like to retort? And how
I would like to retort to that. Look, I've never been one to praise Mr. Trump for his character, and certainly, yes, we have a lot of animosity towards immigrants. However, I'd like to dispel with this fiction that America just works for a collect few and not for the many. I mean, if it works for the collect few, not for the many, how is my family able to start a business and come about from virtually nothing into where we are today? And plus, I mean, these tax cuts that just got passed by the Trump administration are a perfect example of this. CNN Money, which CNN is no fan of this president, just said that 80% of Americans got a tax cut. That's more money in the middle class pockets than we've ever seen before. I think this whole narrative that it's just a couple guys at the top and everybody else at the bottom, it's just got to go. And yes, sure, that's probably the economic makeup of that, but I think that you have to measure economic makeup not by where you, not necessarily where you finish, but where you start. You have to say, okay, does everybody have equal opportunity? That's why I support school choice. That's why I think that taxes should be relatively low. And that's why I think that people should be free to engage in their own personal interests free of a government tyranny. And that's what concerns me about Sanders. It just seems like every single proposal that Bernie puts forward is more government tyranny, higher taxes, and I don't trust the federal government. I don't trust lobbyist bought politicians to make better decisions for Americans than the American people.
All right.
That's kind of where I'm at.
All right, so a lot of great discussion here, guys. Thank you so much for coming, Remington, Joe. And it's very important that everyone gets out and votes this upcoming 2020 election, regardless of whoever the Democratic nominee is, and of course the incumbent President Donald Trump. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Sure.
Of course.
UNLV's very own Rebel Girls are doing amazing this season. Cabria Kirby tells us how.
5, 6, 7, and 8. Those aren't just numbers that the Rebel Girls use in practice. They have earned well over 5 national titles. This year, they earned their first three-peat.
The undisputed national champion Rebel Girls & Company did it again, but this year they made history. The Rebel Girls & Company recorded their first ever three-peat in the D1A Game Day Division at the 2020 UDA College Nationals competition. The Game Day Division includes fight song, a cheer, a timeout routine, and a sideline dance. The Rebels were sure to be innovative and use a wide variety of things, from signs to flags and even megaphones. Junior company member Jeremiah Williams thought they changed the game with their visual elements.
We did our fight song, and this year we added some flags in there, and we added some megaphones in there, so it's pretty awesome to get a chance to try something new other than just dancing and cheering.
Not only did they win in Game Day, they also took the floor as the defending D1A hip-hop champions. And with a robbery and ski mask in sight, they stole the show and finished in second place.
For Studio G, I'm Cabria Kirby.
We are so proud of the Rebel Girls. Best of luck to you ladies.
Finally, a program at UNLV is seeking to address the problem of hunger and poverty by making packing and delivering lunches. Our reporter, Hannah Kirschbaum, has more.
I recently went to go check out one of the many UNLV volunteer service programs, DASH, an acronym that stands for Delivering and Serving Hope. This particular program seeks to address the problems of hunger and poverty by connecting UNLV students and people experiencing homelessness through the services provided at the Las Vegas Rescue Mission. I talked with 2 of the main event coordinators to gain more insight into the program they know and love.
So DASH stands for Delivering and Serving Hope. What we basically do is we make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and then the volunteers get like an hour or an hour and a half of service hours, and then after that we go to the Las Vegas Rescue Mission and we deliver it to people experiencing homelessness.
So DASH we usually do twice a month for a total of 6 per semester, so it's a really great opportunity for a lot of people. For me personally, I actually volunteered at DASH like a few years back. So after the first time I did, I thought, well, this is a really great experience. So I did it over and over and over. And then I finally asked to become a coordinator. So it's a really good experience.
I was also able to hear from a Service Day volunteer who tells why he chose to serve.
I'm doing this because I love to give back to the community as well. I always did this back in Hawaii, and it's called Malamanda Aina, which is to always give back to the community whenever you can.
By making, packing, and delivering lunches, DASH hopes to give students a glimpse of the disenfranchised populations and to provide them with an opportunity to make a difference.
So Rebels, if you're looking to get involved in events like DASH or other Service Day projects, feel free to visit the Spring 2020 UNLV events calendar. For Studio G, I'm Hannah Kirschbaum.
It's amazing what this community can do when we come together to take care of those who most need it.
I know, it really makes me want to join now.
That's all the time we have. Tune in tomorrow at 12 p.m. on Studio G's Facebook page or UNLV's Media and Journalism YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Dominic Schotzen.
And I'm Brianna Faberger. This is Studio G. Till next time, Rebels.